Hello, I'm Rhiannon Ford, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my FMP idea for my final major project. So to begin with, I'm going to be making a documentary. The age range I'm aiming to target for this documentary will be ages 30 to 65, and this is because when I did my demographics and psychographics research, I realised that this was the popular age group of people that go to church often and watch documentaries in general. I'm aiming to make connections with my audience and sparking emotions by using different camera shots and angles, and also making sure I have the right lighting and I have the right themes in my mood board to set me up for what I'm going to film. I want to educate people as well. That's very important to me, about the chapel and its people, and I want to underline the history which people don't know about. I targeted this specific church to film that because I know that there's a lot of people that live around the area that don't even know much about the church, especially me. I don't know that much, so it would be a learning curve for me too by researching and looking into the church. For the audience, like I've previously mentioned about the age range, but also I want to connect more with looking at aspects like COVID-19 and things which everyone can relate to, because I know not everyone goes to church. My project will be represented on a WordPress website, although I will be putting it onto YouTube, Facebook and other social media platforms to meet a wider range of an audience. So that's just showing my demographics and psychographics research that I went into. Along with age range, I looked at the information which people take in of that age range and what people want to know about, which is normally someone's life story or something that interests them to watch the documentaries, along with an interesting description, because a lot of people said that they wouldn't watch a documentary if it didn't have an interesting description, which is what I want to take from my research and use. So my inspiration, I looked at Frederick Wiseman's work. He did a documentary and it was about the lifestyle of monks. It inspired me so much because he didn't just look at interviews, he looked at other things as well. So it was like looking at people's life stories, but giving his own kind of reflection to it as well, which I want to include in my work. He also used artificial sound, not so much natural sound, so that worked in his favour as well to give a unique aspect to his work. Although in some of his documentaries he just used natural sound, which really showed realism to his piece, which many people liked. I then went on to look at Martin Doublemeyer, and he did a documentary called Bonhoeffer, and it was about the Nazi rule, and it was more about religion too. He used his own footage which made his work more authentic, which I'm going to do myself, because I feel like if you're using someone else's work, it's hard to get copyright and things like that. And it's also better to get your own footage because it makes your work unique, which I want to follow. You can tell with his interviews that he's really planned them out, which is what I want to do, because then again, if you don't prepare your questions, then when you get there, it's more likely for the person you're filming just to say, I don't know exactly what to tell you, or you'll just be stuck on what to say, so you won't get that much context that you need for your documentary, and it won't even be that long if you don't ask them the right things. After that, I looked at Werner Herzog's work, and he did a documentary called The Wheel of Time. You can see an image there of it. It's about the life of monks too, similar to one of the other artists I looked at. It looked at faith, and it wasn't just factual, there was a lot more behind it, a whole storyline behind it, which is what I want to interpret into my work. Like, I just don't want it to be about the history, I want to have Ivion's life story behind it, which is what my title was, the life story of Ivion and his relationship to the church. I decided to make some style frames. I felt that these were important to visualise my work really and what I wanted to include when filming and when testing. So my first one, as you can see at the top, I actually took an image. I went there myself with Ivy on. I sat him down and took a picture of him inside the church. I felt that this was important to make sure my lighting was right, that I got the right information from the camera. You can see there I took some inspiration, like some colour schemes I want to work on. I want to look at more natural colours because I feel like it'll show realism, which relates back to when I researched the artist's work. You can see there I want some lighting coming in from the window of the church. I feel like that would be very beautiful, especially with the paintings. And there's just some of the pews, because I know there's many pews in Gopher Church where I'll be filming. At the top there you can see I went into the church again and I took 2 pictures of the paintings there, and this is what the church used to look like. So I want to kind of do a voiceover now with those images. I might go out and take better ones with better lighting and add that in as long as I've got his interview as well to give more context. And I also experimented with different texts, different colours and some font types there, although I will look further into that in future. Then I looked into mood boards because I thought if I've done the style frames I should get a mood board to go alongside them. So the first one there you can see is the emotions. I want people to feel sad, happy. I want people to question what they're seeing and want to know more. I also want them to feel like, happy tears kind of thing, because I want them to connect more and feel a sense of hope at the end of it. And I also want them to feel shocked at the information they are being given, especially the locals that may not know much about it. Then the second one is about the different camera styles and shot types. You can see at the bottom there, this is one I definitely want to include. It's a Dutch style camera angle shot that I want to interpret. And also I want kind of a side view, so they're not just talking to me, they're talking to the audience as well, which I feel will connect with them more. There's another painting down there, which I actually took myself as well, inside of the church. And yeah, some close-ups, some medium shots, some long shots. I want to get a real range in there. Then the last one here. So this is Rebecca Riot's, and the reason why I included that in there is because there's a lane that links in with them, which is next to the church. So it's not just about the church, it's about the stuff around it too. There's an old picture of what the church used to look like, there's a picture of it more recently, and then I kind of just went into more colours, the graveyard, and up the top there's an old man there, which obviously I'm filming Ivy on, so I wanted to include that, and the Holy Bibles, which I want to get pictures of as well to show the story behind it and the deeper meaning. I started out with my storyboard as well, so just a rough sketch of what I want to interpret. It was more like the description was important to me, but also visualising, I feel like that's very important. So when you get there, you know exactly what angle you want to position the camera at, and it also saves you more time as well. Time management is key. So we have at the start there, the graveyard, then going into the entrance of the church, then moving on to them sitting down in the middle of the church, then some of the paintings, pictures of them, a video of him talking about his life upstairs, and then downstairs talking about, his paintings and more about the history of the church itself. And then close up of the graveyard when I'm walking out, Rebecca Riot's lane, which is next to the church, medium close-up shot of when the building was built, so at the front there'll be a description on the church, so I want to get the details of the bricks along with the details of when it was built and when it was rebuilt, because I think it was rebuilt as well. And I've put down the bottom pictures of people from years ago found inside, because I know there might be some old images, because when I went there once before I found an old image of like people there, so I'm going to go back in and see if I can find any old images, maybe some stories behind it too. So I did some camera testing, which is along with the things that I put in my mood board. So see if I can play the video through. So this was quite shaky to begin with, and I don't think it was due to the actual settings on the camera, it was due to my actual movement of the camera myself, which obviously I'd have to work on for the final piece, but it was just kind of filming inside to see what the lighting is like if I needed any artificial lighting, anything to add to it. And then these are the pictures too. So the top one there, I had to use flash inside because it was pretty dark. But if I went back again now, I would turn on the lights, get more artificial lighting in to make it look perfect. There's a painting up there, and down the bottom that's the graveyard on the side of the church, which is actually one of the shots that I want to put in specifically, showing half of the church, half of the graveyard, because I feel like there's two different stories behind it. And then I edited a little bit, doing some colour grading, stabilising it more, and you can see it slightly better there. I would need some improvement again, but that's that. The pictures are a lot better compared to the video because it was quite hard to colour grade each section of the video. There's that one, the painting, and there we are. So I've just put down saturation on that. Okay, so to do with my time management, I went onto Asana, which is an online website, because I was very concerned about my timekeeping. I felt like I was falling behind. So I decided to make a checklist of things I want to complete. And I put on there's a section, you can pull down the down thing there, and you can put started, in progress, and you can also set the priority so you know in your mind which things you need to do first, which things you can leave for a bit, and which things are low priority, so you could leave that to the end of the project really. So the first week I've done. Second week I've more or less done. It's just a project proposal. I want to go back and kind of make some changes depending on what I feel like would fit better due to my research. Then week 3, so some of the things there, because I did the actual presentation beforehand, I've actually done quite a lot of this research now. I'm pretty sure it's complete. So I would be moving on and I'd be checklisting all them, saying they're complete. And then week 4 is more weather, to do with the shot list, location recce, shooting schedule. Week 5 is about testing more so, getting feedback, and each week I have put getting feedback on because I feel like that's crucial. Week 6, more about practical skills, showing challenges, and I'm going to be putting together my problem solving part of my website and explaining some of the challenges I went through and things. Week 7 is more about filming, which I actually want to do maybe just before that time, so then I'd have more time to edit and things. Week 8, starting editing, perfecting my work, doing colour grading, and week 9, adding in some sound and problem solving. I'd add more to that. And I also want to make sure that I can add some more changes if needed to my write-up to make sure that I can get the best grade as possible. Yeah, so getting feedback. I want to render my work a couple of times because I've run into some issues beforehand where I've gone to render and then it looks different to what I intended it to be. So I'm going to do some tests with the rendering too. I want to hold a focus group where I could get more feedback, and specifically in my target audience too, because I feel like it wouldn't be that relevant if it wasn't in my target audience. I want to get one-to-one support for the documentation and presentation of my work towards the end of the project to make sure I've ticked off all the boxes that I need to. And yeah, just submitting my work then and making sure everything's up to scratch, doing my evaluation, that's very important to this piece, and just saying what things I could have done better in the project and what I can improve on in the future. Any questions?
Yes, I've got plenty.
Yeah.
That was a very good presentation, purely from your ability to present information. You were clearly spoken. Your PowerPoint supported really well what you had to say. You weren't over-reliant on the text. You used it as a prompt to lead you through. Clearly, you had structured it in such a way that you led us, or led me through what you've done so far. And I thank you for that, because I've got quite a clear now idea of what your intentions are. So I think, yes, I've got some questions, but first of all, I'll talk about your presentation and try and ascertain some information. So you've looked at 3 different filmmakers so far.
Yeah.
You've looked at any more?
No, but I'm intending on looking at more. I want to go back and add more to my research, yeah.
Okay. I'm interested in what you meant by, was it the artificial sound that Wiseman had used?
Yes.
Can you tell me a bit more about that?
So instead of using the natural sound, he kind of added in his own thing, so he was actually making the sound and putting it into his work, along with getting people he was filming, like say, for example, the monks, I think it was, to like play the drums or whatever they were doing within